Good evening. Johnno here with Eugene. No Simon this evening. As you know, it's only two of us. And, well, I think if we were to do a straw poll, people would say that we were the two favoured. So it's probably a good thing. How are you, mate?
Not bad, not bad. I'm glad you didn't introduce yourself as the king tonight because you've been chopped down on Super Brew. You've fallen down the ladder today, so you're no longer the king. I think you're now sitting in 38th something.
37th.
37th.
If you don't mind. And I've certainly never been the king of anything prediction, have I? It could be raining outside. I could predict it was still raining and it'll have stopped briefly. Like that's how bad my power of prediction is.
My first reason that was my first reason I think you didn't introduce yourself as the king. But the second reason is maybe because King Coley was back on the throne today with his wonderful 100.
Yes. So, okay, let's start there. We just talked about it off air. What are your thoughts on farming the strike? The result was never going to change by that point. But I think Robbo would agree with me, like, respect the game. Like, if you're going to win the game, win the game. I think it's poor to farm the strike just for Coley to try and get his 100. And then he stares that poor young bowler down who bowled him that. He bowled him a legitimate ball. He was trying to bowl a slower ball bouncer. Yes, it was a wide. But then there was another wide that you just rightly pointed out, and the umpire didn't give it, almost because he wanted to see Coley get his 100. I'd have thrown it down, fine leg was up. I'd have just thrown 1 2 yards down the leg side and just gone, it's not about you, mate. Respect the game.
Or maybe I 100 in my opinion. Yeah. 100's 100 in my opinion, irrespective of whether you need to farm the strike. Put it this way. If Bangladesh had scored more runs, he wouldn't have had to farm the strike. So technically, they played so shit that he had to farm the strike in order to get to a milestone. I'm all about the team first. The team had won the game. They're not in a position where net run rate's an issue. That was the first question that I was up and thinking about was, is net run rate going to come into this and therefore are India ruin this? The answer is no. Them and New Zealand are the form sides that are just absolutely, destroying everybody that sort of walks in their path at the moment or comes in their path. So from my perspective, respect to him for scoring that 100. I'm a little bit disappointed in your favorite umpire, Richard Illingworth, for not giving that wide. I think there are laws within the game. You have to stick within those laws. If for some reason the bowler decides to purposefully bowl a wide ball so that Coley doesn't get his 100, that's his prerogative. It happened in the CPL once, and it was a pretty disappointing thing to see. But, cricket's cricket, right?
Yeah. I mean, look, Coley's a phenomenal batsman. He hit some fantastic shots today. But yeah, I just think just play the game. Like, win the game, lose the game, draw the game if it's obviously in the test arena.
Score 100.
I just think it's a bit egotistical.
Milestones are part of it. Milestones are part of it, right?
Of course they are. But I just think just play the game. Like, I think there's a thing on it. Doesn't he need maybe now one more to equal Sachin's 100s record in?
I know he scored his 47th
50 over games.
Could do, yeah. I know it was 40. I
think didn't Sachin get 49?
Yeah, possibly.
Sachin maybe got 48 or 49, I think. I remember hearing that at the start of the tournament that he could overhaul his record. So that might have played a part in it, but I'm not sure you'd ever have seen the great that is Sachin Tendulkar farming the strike in order to get it. He probably would have had enough confidence to know that he was going to do it at some point anyway. That's just my personal view. You disagree with me a little bit. No doubt Robbo would disagree with me if Robbo was on air with me tonight. Although we have had, in record-breaking news, Robbo agreed with me for the third time ever last night, I think, about something, which almost blew my socks off. But to get back to the game, I mean, Bangladesh started pretty well, didn't they? Two openers went well. I think the first wicket went down for 93. And they looked like they were set for a big score. I mean, obviously missing Shakib is a huge loss for them. And I kind of don't know what, Mahmudullah's done well. He's probably their other superstar along with Mustafizur Rahman, the wicketkeeper. I just don't know what they're kind of hiding down the order for. I mean, 2, 4, 6. Oh, sorry. No, I'm talking about Mushfiqur Rahim, the wicketkeeper. So he's coming at 6 and Mamadullah 7.
Yeah.
You know,
I think they were worried about the finisher. So, I mean, they did a great job at finishing, by the way.
Yeah.
They really scored some runs. And we were having this discussion the other night. I can't remember if it was me or you or me and Robert, but we are seeing that the tier 1 nations versus the tier 2 nations, the tier 1 nations have the depth across their side, no matter where you bat, where you bowl, etc. What we're finding with the tier 2 nations is you have a couple of guns and a couple of fill-in players, aka club cricket in whichever county you insert here. So it's one of those where, you could see by the Indian side, they were just phenomenal. Yeah, everything they did was clinical, the catching. I mean, how good was Ravinder Today just catch at backward point? That was to get rid of Mushfiqur Rahim. Yeah. That was a superb catch. But I think they were just outbeaten in all 3 facets today. Oh, yeah. That thing was whizzing. And his post-catch celebration was also pretty interesting. I don't know what it means, but, next time he comes on the pod, we'll ask him.
Yeah, that'd be a coup, wouldn't it? The one big worry for India is obviously going to be Hardik Pandya, who pulled up. I mean, Kohli had to bowl 3 overs, and you've never seen a stadium as
3
busy
balls
in this World Cup as when he
seen as when we're correcting people, it's balls. And not Chris Brathwaite, it's Carlos Brathwaite. But thanks for correcting me last night.
Yes. And Rabada had a go at the batsman, not the bowler.
You can correct yourself.
So we both made a couple of errors.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pandya is going to be a worry for them because he is the kind of. It was interesting listening to. Oh, his name's gone out of my head now. Who's the keeper who commentates on Sky?
No idea. The New Zealand keeper?
Indian wicket keeper. No, the Indian wicket keeper.
Oh, Dinesh Karthik.
Always dresses really well. DK, that's it, right?
Yeah.
So he was talking to Nasser and someone else, and they were saying about the makeup of the side if Pandya can't play. Who do they pick? And he said, well, actually, I would bring in Shami, he would bring in Sky, and he would drop Thakur. And that wasn't something that had even crossed the mind of Nasser and whoever else he was talking to. So that could be really interesting because you lose your genuine all-rounder, but you then strengthen with a genuine batter and another genuine bowler. Thakur is not really proving to have going that well. He was going at 7.5 early. I mean, he ended up going at 6.5, 1 for 59 off 9. But you would say he is their weak link and probably the bowler that people look to target because in Jadeja and Kumar Yadav, they've got 2 fantastic spinners. I mean, Jadeja 2 for 38 from his 10, Yadav 1 for 47 from his 10. Yeah, Pandya went down after 3 balls of his first over, funnily enough, trying to not dive. He went with his feet, didn't he, to try and stop a ball that had been smashed back past him close to the stumps that went for 4, but did something to his left ankle upon landing. He's been for scans. We're not yet party to the results of those scans, but Pandya's vice captain. He's obviously a phenomenal striker of the cricket ball, and he's someone who can bowl at 85, 90 miles an hour in bursts. And he's going to be, would be a real key part of that side. But, when you've got people like Ashwin, Shami, Surya Kumar Yadav on the bench, that Indian lineup is frightening.
I think this is a blessing in disguise for India. Slightly controversial, but I don't rate Pandya. And it's not because he's not very good. I haven't seen of the matches he's played in this World Cup. He hasn't performed with a bat. He hasn't really performed with a ball. He's been pretty average. So why not replace him? I know you rightly said he's vice captain. It's really difficult to replace your vice captain, but I suppose that's why I made the comment, this is maybe a blessing in disguise because you're going to have, to your point, Shami and Sky come in because, Thakker's just been bowling a pile of poo. I mean, his first 3 balls went 4-4, 4-6-4 today. He was going, he just traveled everywhere. So, blessing in disguise for me if Pandya doesn't play for the rest of the tournament.
Yeah, so we will obviously wait to find out what the results are there. I mean, if we look at Bangladesh, Zanjeed went well, scoring 51. Lytton Das got 66, probably threw it away off the bowling of Jadeja. I think caught long on from memory or maybe long off.
Yep.
I just, you look at that Indian bowling lineup and you think, where am I going to score a run other than Shardul Thakur. And he is the one kind of expendable member of that bowling lineup, isn't he?
Well, I'm surprised they took Virat Kohli off. I mean, when you look at his economics, he was the most economical bowler today. He only went at 4 and over.
Yeah, I mean, and his first ball was on the money as well, wasn't it? He just bowled this little wobbly in swinger for his first ball, which was a dot, and then 2 ones, I think. But it's almost a bit like when Harry Brook bowled at Steve Smith in the Ashes in the summer. You know, the batters are just going, I cannot get out to this fella.
Yeah,
you know. So yeah, but he kind of just fell apart a little bit for Bangladesh, didn't it? Shanto, the captain, 8, he's struggling. Miraz 3 from 13. You know, you look at 3, 4, 5. You've got a bloke striking at 47, one at 23, another at 45. And then you've got your 2 big guns. I understand what you're saying about the finishers, but Mushfiqur Rahim comes in, scores at 82.5, and then Mohammadullah comes in and scoring almost 130. You know, there are, certainly in club cricket, people talk about your best players needing to face the most amount of balls. You've heard people talk about it when they say about Josh Buttler wanting to open the innings in T20 cricket. Your best player needs to face the most amount of balls. But it's almost like they've kind of gone the other way, and 2 of their best players are hiding down the order a little bit, which might kind of contribute to why they're not probably getting it done in the way in which they'd like.
I think the epitome for me in terms of how poor the batting performance was watching their number 9 farm the strike from the number 10. It was one, I was watching it going, why is he not taking that single? And then realized that the number 10 is so crap that he has to keep strike. Otherwise, he's not going to be able to score runs. The irony of it all, their number 11 comes in and whacks Bumrah for 6 over extra cover.
That's 9 and 10. Yeah, the number 10. But I mean, look, Bumrah looks good again, doesn't he? Bowling quick off that short, stuttery run up. Mohammad Siraj hasn't really set the competition on fire yet. Yeah, he got 2 for 60, but you know, he's a much better bowler than I think we've seen him. You know how he's gone about things so far in this tournament. But then, you look at that Indian batting lineup. I mean, Sharma just looks so comfortable. He scored 48 from 40, so 120 strike rate, 7 4s, 2 6s. Shubman Gill threw it away, 53 from 55, so strike rate of 96, 5 4s, 2 6s. Kohli, 103 not out off 97 with 6 4s and 4 6s. 13 from 25, 2 4s. You know, he's a much better player than that. And KL Rahul, 34 not out. You know, this is a fella who's opened in Test cricket. He's opened in one-day cricket, and he's coming in at number 5. You know, you look at the rest of the order, you've got Pandya, who was obviously not there. Jadeja can bash it. Thakur has scored, you know, in Test 50s. You know, Bumrah can give it a slap. Yadav and Siraj probably, maybe not so much. But, you know, every time I watch him, I'm just thinking, you can't really see past India winning this unless something goes horribly wrong. I just think they're a better all-round unit than any other side in the tournament.
Yeah, totally agree. I think, as we said, them and New Zealand at the moment, front runners, you know, clearly 1 and 2, more than likely already going to make the semis, given that they've won. I think you and Simon mentioned it last night. You know, they've now won, or New Zealand had won 4 from 4, only 5 games left. India now in exactly the same boat. I think tomorrow's game is going to be pretty interesting with Pakistan playing against Australia. That's going to be pretty interesting to see, because those 2 teams are both, you know, they need wins. I mean, when you look at it, Australia have played 3-1-1. Yeah. Pakistan played 3-1-2. This is now where you need to start winning games. And unfortunately for Australia, it's another big game. They haven't had any minnows yet, have they? No. They are literally just going from big game to big game to big game from a draws perspective. They don't have any easy points, shall we say that, like the Netherlands did to South Africa, get those easy points for them.
How are you feeling about that now? Have you kind of forgiven your countrymen yet, or are you know?
I think we've taken a different tactic this year. We're choking early and avoiding the rush.
Okay, nice, like it.
Yeah,
like
not creating any hope, because that's the worst thing that kills you. That's a slow killer. So
yeah. We discussed Super Brew before we came on air. So we were right about Mayank Malhotra and Smudge in 1985 from week 2 as yellow cap and wooden spoon in the Super Brew pools. We need to talk about what's the lineup going to look like from our perspective on Saturday. So tomorrow is due to be me and Robbo again. Then in theory,
I might go my own, or it might be you and Robbo, depending on what happens.
Yeah, Saturday might be an interesting one. I don't know. I might have to. No, I'm going to do tomorrow, and then I'm just going to let you and Robbo have it on Saturday. So regardless what happens, I can just be drunk somewhere, either celebrating or commiserating.
Yeah, I might not be available Saturday for some reason if we lose both of those games somehow. Although I can't see us really losing the rugby, if I'm honest. I
saw something on BBC Sport. I think is it an ex-player? I think he played in the 1995 thing, and he said, "I will fall over backwards if we lose the rugby."
Was he English or South African?
No, he's South African. He played in the 95 World Cup winning side.
Right.
I forget his name, but I was like, I mean, that's not really a massive statement, At least say
he's not going to eat his
say like. Well, I mean, but at least say something that people are going to care about. I will fall over backwards. I mean, perfect. Cheers, mate. But look, I think we all expect South Africa to dominate that game, but sport's a funny thing, right? And in that 80-minute match, anything can happen.
Yep. I think it'll be one in the first 20,
I am really
interested.
Okay.
I'm not saying which way. I'm just saying I think it's going to be one in the first 20 minutes.
No, I think it would be a surprise if England came out on top of that fixture. I think what offers more intrigue is the cricket. If something England have failed to do so far in this tournament is take early wickets. You've discussed the frailties of the South African lineup post number 6, as was proven when they lost to the Netherlands the other night. Other than Maharaj, who got 40, didn't he, down the order? But I think if England can get early wickets, then we're in with a chance. But if the Cock goes well, Bavuma goes well, and then you've got that absolute powerhouse middle order of Van der Dussen, Markram, Larson, and Miller. Crikey, if they set that same platform that they did in the first couple of games, where they're 100 for none off 20, and then you've got all those fireworks to come in afterwards. England's batting lineup also haven't been able to replicate that. So I think that game offers more intrigue to me than the rugby, because I think the rugby could turn out to be a bit of a one-way street. But we shall see. We shall see.
Here's an interesting permutation for you.
Go on.
If Australia beat Pakistan tomorrow, then it'll be Pakistan played for 1-2, Australia played for 1-2. If England beat South Africa on Saturday, it'll be England played 4-1-2, South Africa played 4-1-2, all on exactly the same amount of points.
Crikey.
So that's an interesting permutation.
6 teams then. 6 teams basically fighting out for 2 spots throughout the... And who's got the easier run-ins then? Because England have played Afghanistan and the minnows, but we've still got... and Bangladesh.
Yeah.
So, crikey.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe about this England team not being set up to win this tournament in the same way they were in 2019, but also this being a tournament where we expect sides to lose games. Like, what was your view on that when you were listening to it today?
Well, I know that you said that when you and Holty and the guys were traveling back, and you said you don't expect this England team they don't look like they're set up. That was the reason why I didn't, when in my picks in the very first episode, didn't pick England to make the semi-finals. I think there's too many other sides that are a lot stronger than them. I know that they look very good on paper, but it's not on paper that counts. So I agree with you guys, and that's why I made my prediction the way I did.
And in terms of it being a World Cup where we expect people to drop points and lose games, that I know that it's easy to say now because it's happening, but do we expect that to continue to happen?
Yeah, I do, and there's a reason for it. The one thing that we are seeing more and more of is the tier 2 nations are playing better and better cricket, which means that where they used to win one game and it was a bit of a shock, they're now putting in those consistent performances Instead of once every 10 games, they're now putting it in once every 4 or 5 games. So
Yeah.
I expect there to be more games where, the Netherlands, Afghanistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh are gonna are really gonna turn up and turn some of the sides that you'd think. Yeah. I think there's, I originally said I don't think it'll happen to New Zealand and India, but this is cricket and anybody can win on the day.
Yeah. So thank you for joining us tonight. Thank you to you, Eugene, as always. It's a pleasure to be in your company again once more, my friend. Tomorrow, Australia and Pakistan. I will be back with you with Robbo tomorrow, not evening, because you'll then get it the morning after, but you know what I mean. But thanks for joining us again. And we'll be back with you shortly. Cheers for now.
Cheers, bye.